By the end of this video, you'll discover why your craving for deeper love isn't too much, and how to finally feel more seen, even if your partner doesn't fully get your sensitivity. In this video, you'll discover why HSPs are especially wired for emotional depth, and how this creates unique challenges in love. The hidden pattern that makes you feel alone, even in a relationship, and what it actually takes to experience the kind of love you've been craving without needing your partner to change. You're sitting on the couch next to your partner, both of you scrolling your phones. You're together, but it feels like no one's home. Maybe earlier you tried to bring something up that mattered to you, but the conversation shifted back to errands or to work or what to make for dinner. They didn't do anything wrong. They're kind, they're present, but part of you still feels hungry, like your heart leaned in and nothing met it. So maybe you smile, maybe you say it's fine, but inside you may be asking yourself, is this really all there is? The thing is, as HSPs, we're wired for depth in every area of life. That means in our work, in our hobbies, in our relationships, our friendships, and love is no exception. We're wired to go deep into love, and we love going deep into love. We are interested in depth to the core, and we're capable of it. We're capable of not only falling deeply in love, but maturing deeply in love over a long period of time. And this is because as HSPs, we have a number of characteristics that always point us in this direction. The first of all is depth of processing. We process things deeply, and emotions are no exception. Add to that emotional sensitivity, the ability to notice, be empathetic, what's happening to others and what's going on inside of ourselves, and to care about that kind of emotional substance. That is part of being an HSP. And so we're wired for this. And on top of it, we're also very sensitive to everything in the environment, including everything that is being communicated in subtle ways in our partnership from our partner. So we are drawn to harmony. We are drawn to feeling good. And we can, when we find it, we just want to kind of bask in it. And so it can feel stressful when it's not always possible to be in that depth experience of love. Maybe you're in a relationship, but you still feel emotionally underfed. It's like eating a meal that looks perfect on the plate, is perfectly made, but it leaves you strangely unsatisfied. Some foods are like that. And so you may start to feel like there's something wrong with the relationship, there's something wrong with you, or there's something wrong with your partner. And this can create a kind of doubt, and it actually blocks the love even more. So if that's going on, you may find yourself longing for emotional connection while your partner is just focusing on logistics or tasks or something like that. You may try explaining your needs, but feel like they just don't get it. And you may start to question, is this as close as we're ever going to get? Sometimes when talking with a partner, they may be very kind and understanding about being sensitive, but you may not just want to be understood, but you not just accommodated, but like connected with, like felt in a deeper way, like you're understood on a deeper level. And sometimes it's hard to feel that. So you may love your partner, but part of you may still feel unmet. And you're not asking for constant conversation. You're asking for connection. You're asking for something real, something felt, something that you can say, oh yeah, that is connection. And so you may start to notice the little things and wish that they noticed little things too, so that you could connect on that. I know my sister and I were really good at that when we were younger. We could just almost read each other's minds. And so just look in one direction, say something, some sign, something passing on the road as we're driving, and then we both knew what the other person was going to say or what we were thinking. Like half the joke was completely unspoken. But it's not always possible with everyone. And so we may find ourselves comparing our relationship with other relationships and feel like there's something missing. And then you may start to doubt yourself as you start thinking, am I just too sensitive for love to work the way I need it to? Or am I in the wrong relationship? And it's more than just feeling alone, it's feeling unseen or unmet. And that can be painful. So if this doesn't get addressed, then what happens is you start to pull back, or you start to overfunction to kind of keep things together. Pulling back can look like you share less of what you're really feeling. You stop reaching for depth because it feels pointless. So you just kind of give up on depth, even though it's your own natural desire and capability. You become quieter, more self-contained, and emotionally guarded. And you tell yourself, oh, it's fine. I'll just handle this on my own. So that's pulling back. Overfunctioning, on the other hand, looks almost like the opposite, but it comes from the same place. You become the emotional manager, or you initiate the conversations. You try to drop hints, try to direct things. You smooth things over before tension can surface, or you try to carry the emotional weight for both of you, hoping that it will create closeness. On the outside, the relationship still works, but inside, you're either shrinking to survive or stretching past yourself to hold it together. And you end up hiding your emotional reality because expressing it hasn't worked before. This can feel very alone when you start pulling back in this way, or kind of faking it in a way, overcompensating in a way. You may even start to feel ashamed for wanting more and think that maybe your expectations are the problem. Or you may become resentful, not just towards your partner, but towards yourself for always wanting something deeper. This is how that judgment, which is so common for us as HSPs, that there's something wrong with us, just gets rooted and becomes deeper and bigger. Oh, I'm wanting too much. This isn't right. We start blaming ourselves. So the belief that's active here is along the lines of this. If my partner isn't meeting my emotional needs, it means that they're the wrong person or I'm too much. In other words, there's this belief that we're incompatible. We may still love each other, but here's my experience. I'm not feeling that depth of love. I'm not feeling that connection on the deeper level. And so you start thinking, okay, there's either something wrong with them or something wrong with me, and neither one is very pleasant. So the thing is, you don't have to leave a relationship to go deeper. You don't have to move to a new house to feel at home again. Sometimes you just need to rearrange the furniture, open the curtains, start using the rooms you've been ignoring, and new life comes into the same building, and the experience is different. This isn't about fixing your partner. It's about freeing yourself from the emotional patterns that block intimacy. And there are a number of patterns that come up for us as HSPs, and some of them are, for example, people-pleasing instead of being real. And this means filtering your needs to avoid rocking the boat, or downplaying your feelings to stay easy to be around. And over time, your partner connects with the mask instead of connecting with the real you. And so you feel this feeling of lack of depth because of that. Another pattern that we have that we can fall into as HSPs, it's not a part of being an HSP, but it's where we can easily fall out of balance, is emotional over-responsibility, where we feel like it's our job to keep the relationship emotionally stable. So maybe you walk on eggshells and you're anticipating your partner's moods, trying to just run around being one step ahead so that there's no problem. And this leaves no room for your emotional truth to be seen. You're focused solely on your partner, and it's not, how can you connect from depth to depth if you're not even really showing up? You're just showing up as a servant in your relationship. Another thing that we can fall into as HSPs is unspoken expectations. Maybe you hope your partner will just know what you need to feel close. And when they don't, you may feel hurt, but you may not say anything. And so intimacy breaks down, not because they don't care, but because they don't understand. They don't have clear directions. They don't know what you need. And as HSPs, we often fall into feeling like we are too much. And so as a result, we may end up withholding our sensitivity or our emotional depth because we're afraid it will overwhelm them. And what we're really doing here is starving the connection of the very thing that could deepen it. And you never know how much they might appreciate that depth that we bring. It may be what connected you in the first place. Another thing we can end up doing is avoiding conflict to keep the peace. And so we don't speak up when something doesn't feel right. But peace without honesty ends up leading to emotional distance and not true harmony. And then we may end up also doubting ourselves around our own needs, like questioning if we're asking for too much and assuming that our needs for depth or for attunement is some kind of a flaw. So we end up not fully owning our truth, which makes it harder for us and our partner to meet us where we are. These patterns aren't flaws, they're protective strategies, they're coping mechanisms. But the more you become aware of them, the more freedom you have to show up with clarity and depth and openness. And that's what unlocks true intimacy. Real depth begins when you can meet yourself with the honesty and tenderness you've been seeking from someone else. So, depth isn't something your partner gives to you. It's something you invite by how you show up. And when you do inner work and you start clearing emotional residue, digesting stressful, traumatic experiences, learning how to work your way through everyday upsets, and start getting clear on your needs and start releasing some of the people-pleasing, then you start to create space for real intimacy to grow. You stop needing your partner to be a mind reader and start building bridges through emotional clarity and grounded self-expression. So if you're in a relationship that's good, but something is still missing, if you love your partner, but long to feel seen, felt, and understood, and if you're ready to stop over-explaining your needs and start transforming your experience from the inside out, that's exactly why I created the HSP Inner Freedom Program. This isn't couples therapy, it's your space to reconnect with the emotional self you've been editing, hiding, or overextending in your relationships. Inside the program, I'll teach you how to break out of the pain residue cycle that keeps you from being present, how to stop shrinking or apologizing for your emotional depth, and how to rebuild intimacy from a grounded, emotionally clear space, even if your partner doesn't get it yet. Go to the video description page and click on the first link you see, or visit trueinnerfreedom.com/program. You don't need a different partner to feel loved more deeply. You need a different relationship with yourself. And when that shifts, everything else follows.